Hello everyone, Daniel from DePIN Hub over here. This episode is brought to you by Iotex, the DePIN modular infrastructure for everyone. Hello everyone, Daniel from DePIN Hub over here, and today we have Marcus from XYO. I think XYO stands for XY Oracle, as far as I know. It's a project that's been around for quite some time, and it's super cool to have you guys finally on the podcast. We've been talking for some time. Do an intro about yourself and your role at XYO.
Yeah, first thanks for inviting me. At DePIN Hub, you guys are the OGs in DePIN news, and I'm very excited to be part of your podcast. We are, the original DePIN. We launched in 2018 before Helium. Helium launched its mainnet in like 2019, and so I'm a co-founder of XYO, and I deal with like the business side and partnerships and all the fun stuff.
Nice, awesome. Yeah, let's get started. What is XYO Networks? What are you guys started, like a primary mission? How did you evolve, and what are you guys now?
Yeah. So in 2018, we realized location gets easily spoofed or hacked, right? You can download the GPS spoofing app and pretend that you are in San Diego right now while you're actually in New York, right? And that's a problem when you set an app on your phone or for self-driving cars, smart cities, like the technologies of the future, right? And so we created a network of devices which gives you more certainty around location. It was IoT devices, and those IoT devices do cryptographic handshakes. We call them about witnesses, and then you get more certainty about where something started, where it ended up, like a device, and you can create relational maps and so on. And the more devices you have, the more certainty you have, and so on. And to build reputation scores, and there's some cryptographic stuff happening in the background. And we built that out, and then we realized it's very difficult to scale IoT devices only, because people need to be like crypto nerds like you and me, right, to buy our IoT devices, and so our market was very small. And we tried to do partnerships with some telcos like T-Mobile, for example. SK Telecom is a telco from South Korea, and to upgrade their IT networks, they wanted to talk for like 3 years, right, and then do another 3 years of like proof of concepts, and it was just crazy, And so we realized that the mobile phone is a big IoT device as well, and actually it's a super powered one. And so we launched an app called Coin, and Coin was in the beginning doing these bound witnesses and doing cryptographic handshakes, and we were all about certainty of location. And we said, we can layer other data on top of that, with like other IoT data, be it like temperature sensors, for example, or offline data like POI data and many other data points, or even in-app data. And today, inside the Coin app, you can create still passive data collection, right? Active data collection, and many ways. And so we have millions and millions of downloads. It was at 7 million nodes in the XYO network. It makes us one of the largest DePINs out there. And we had Oracle basically connecting real-world data with blockchain, or we use data and then validate and verify it, and also sell it to Web2 companies.
Yeah, that's super interesting. 2018, man, it's quite some time, right? Like let's say 2016, 2017, like the whole like Ethereum craze, and then you guys actually built, I think probably one of the first DePIN projects being built on Ethereum. I think there was like Storage as well doing decentralized storage, but you guys actually like have the location, like the true DePIN in that sense, right? We talk a lot with a lot of different projects as well about how hard it is to verify that one device, like a physical device, is in one specific space. I remember it was in 2016 around that time. There was Pokemon Go came out, and then people immediately start spoofing the GPS so it can be close to like a gym or something, until they manage to actually fix these problems, right? That was always like a big issue. And like supply chain, there's a lot of things that require this location verification. And yeah, I mean, we talked to Iotex, we talked to Peak, That's something that they are also trying to build as an SDK for their projects. But you guys been doing this for quite some time now. How has the blockchain interact with all this idea of verification of location? How does it work more or less on the background?
Yeah. So they are. First, let me say, like, we had so many conversations with Niantic, like which makes Pokemon Go, about the spoofing, and then in the end they were too conservative of companies, surprisingly, and they didn't want to touch the blockchain stuff in 2018. Then everybody still thought like, oh, we're drug dealers. It is cryptocurrencies. Today has become more mainstream, but with Yelp, to make sure that the reviews aren't fraudulent, that they are made by people who are actually in the restaurant. It's got many of these kinds of conversations. The network works with, there's several components. There's the sentinels, which are devices which collect the data. And then there's the bridges, which relay the data, So the sentinels could be your mobile phone, for example, and the bridge could also be your mobile phone. But then there's the archivists, which are devices which store the data, and then the dividers crunch the data to give you the best answers. And all these devices are incentivized to participate through XYO tokens, right? And so as you provide data, for example, which is useful to someone else, you get rewarded for it in XYO tokens. We have sometimes, like Web2 companies you work with, as I mentioned in the beginning, we wanted them to pay us in XYO, and that didn't go so well. And so now because we were so hardcore crypto and decentralization and everything, and we realized we need to be more realistic, if you want to work in today's world and create something which is not only philosophical but in real world use. And so now we take US dollars, for example, or euros, and we convert them into an XYO, right? We buy the XYO in the open marketplace and then put it into the ecosystem. And that the ecosystem has grown to more than 7 million nodes.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know. I think that's a very important thing that you guys can learn. On something that we talk a lot with different projects is that the blockchain side of things, the crypto side of things, should be just the base layer, in a way that a lot of people shouldn't even realize that you're using a blockchain project, right? So removing that friction in order that people can interact with the project with a credit card, with like fiat, bank transfer, but also crypto as well. I think it's very important to onboard the masses and make like a B2B, like businesses to onboard with that, right? At least to get started, because there's so many businesses that they're so scared of interacting with crypto. And then, like if you allow them to start with credit card, then they're going to start more getting comfortable. Yeah. Another thing that you mentioned that I think is very interesting, you have 4 roles, right? In this ecosystem: the sentinels, the bridges, the archivists, and the diviners. I love the names, by the way. It's super exciting, super like holy. So basically, the cell phone that you said that people can just go into, Google App Store and download are the sentinels. Is that it? And then like, how does the other components work? Like, can I run a computer with like a server to do an archivist, a diviners? What are the requirements, and what do I have to do?
Yeah, it's very easy. You can just download it on our website, xyo.network, and you can download a node and then run it on your computer to store or crunch data, archivists or diviners. But most people, for them, the easiest onboarding is through the app. It's, as you said, you want to make it as easy as possible for people. I think we were the first ones to create a app blockchain crossover thing, and now there's many others like Nadex, where we're one of the first investors, or Silencio, and many others, right? And what we did is, in the beginning, only crypto people were interacting with our ecosystem. Today, 80% of our new users are non-crypto people, right? So we have this group of nurses in New York, right, which started to use the Coin app. And then we have lots of drivers, like truckers and Uber drivers, So I saw the screenshot. Someone sent a photo of their cabin in the truck, and they have like 14 phones or with a Coin app, and lighting and doing things. It's just amazing, But of these 80%, then they go inside the app, and we change it in the beginning. You are earning XYO, now you earn points because it's easier to understand for non-crypto people. And then these points you exchange for XYO or BTC or ETH. And so we And now 95% of the people who come into the app that redeem for XYO. So they are not crypto people, 80% of them, but they become crypto people. And we have millions and millions and millions onboarded into the crypto ecosystem. And that is because, like anybody's grandma or anybody's, it doesn't matter who you are, like you can download it and be part of this and to part of the community, or you earn money, or you gamified it, you can play games and do all these things, right? And whatever is interesting to you.
Yeah, you guys have been doing a lot of gamification for many years now. I'm sure there's a lot of cool things that you learned. I highly recommend everyone to go and download the app, the Sentinels, and run it. And yeah, I think this idea of doing points, it's a great way to get started, right? People can understand what you're doing. They've been doing points for quite some time. If you're in the US, you have the crazy coupon people as well, right? They understand this gamification of the points and try to maximize, etc. So I think that works pretty well. One thing that you mentioned as well is that you invested in Natix. How does that partnership works? Because I think Natix is another project that is like cell phone based, and then you require really like understanding the location that you are, right? Prove that you are in that location. Can you elaborate a little bit on that partnership?
Yeah. So Natix, we invested in them as part of our XYO ecosystem fund, the $20 million ecosystem fund. We look to invest in other DePIN projects or oracles or projects which are close to our heart in a way. And so Natix and us, we found each other early. And Ali Reza, one of the co-founders at Natix, he actually wrote about XYO in his PhD because he did something about location as well. So he knew about us. And so it was a match made in heaven. And today, we agreed that they use some of our technologies, and we helped them in the beginning with the app setup and how our ecosystem works, and it spoke through everything, because I think it's great if all of us in the DePIN space help each other, right? I call it co-opetition, right? We're competing a little bit in there, right? But in that, we want to take business away from big Web2 companies, right? And decentralized world, and put the power into the hands of our communities.
Yeah, I know this competition is, I think, is good as well. Like the DePIN ecosystem is quite small, so I mean, I think some sort of competition is exciting. Like you're trying to be better, doing like the best you can, and provide the best service. I think that's the way that you try to win. But then if someone else is doing the same, the whole ecosystem thrive. And that's something that I really like about the DePIN ecosystem as well, is the composability, right? Like a lot of other projects can use XYO networks. Natix can use that, and then you can work together with Silencio, like you mentioned as well. By the way, both Natix and Silencio both have an episode as well on DePIN Hub. So if you're listening to this, make sure to check it out. A few episodes before, I think it was like the beginning of the year. And yeah, that's something that I really like about this space, and I'm so excited. I'm here every day, basically, right? How does the proof of origin and bound witnesses technology work? Because I think that's something you guys like invented, or like perfected at least.
Yeah, it's basically two devices doing cryptographic handshakes, and this works for example on Bluetooth, for example, right? If you have two devices coming within Bluetooth range, which are XYO enabled, then they do the cryptographic handshake. So what is it? One device like moves on, right? It interacts with another device, and then it hands over this block of this the previous interaction and the current interaction, right? Hands to the next device, right? And that records the blocks, and then let's say that device goes to the next device. So, the proof of those interactions and the origin gets handed from device to device, and our blockchain is a little different. We create tangles, and they're quite small, right? They work on IoT devices and so on, and they work in a very sharded way. It doesn't matter if you have 10 or a trillion blocks there. They work in parallel, but can come together in the end as well.
Yeah, no. So in a way, you kind of require other people, random people that you don't know, to run the same application, right? And then therefore, if you can force your neighbor to you don't know who your neighbor is, you cannot force him to fake also that he's somewhere else, right? I think it's very similar to the Helium proof of coverage that they did. I think, of course, it came out much after you guys, but the idea that they have is that they send like a beacon with half of a private key, and then the other half goes through the internet, and then if another node receives that and managed to decrypt that message, means that he got the half of the key from the air and half of the key from the internet, and then he'd be able to decrypt. That's actually how the helium proof of coverage worked. But I can imagine, like, you guys seem very complex as well in terms of, like, or very complete in the way you guys do that, because people are also moving much, that, that's another thing, right? Like comparing to just an antenna sticking out of a roof.
Yeah, you do also, if there's no other devices around it, for example, we do a lot of other things to figure out if the location is genuine. For example, we do digital fingerprints of the location, even of other IoT devices which are around there, right? To get more and more certainty around stuff like.
Iotex modular infrastructure empowers DePIN development across every vertical, creating a vibrant ecosystem of projects and real-world applications. By enabling projects to deploy in full or integrate our DePIN optimized modules into existing frameworks, Iotex furthers its mission to democratize DePIN for everyone. Iotex is celebrating their recent $50 million investment with the first ever DePIN airdrop, featuring 5 training projects, all pre-TG, that are #building Iotex. Complete Galaxy tasks to climb the leaderboard to secure your airdrop. At heart, Iotex Elite Gold on Discord even get whitelisted access to highly valued DePIN project public sales. Check it out. Interested in building on Iotex? Connect with the team at bd@iotex.io. On the demand side, how has that grown since you guys started? Because of course you can give points, you can have all the supply side in the world, but if there's no demand, there's no one actually using the data that you're using, the project is useless. So how has the demand side grew? Like, what are the main people using that network? Like, what are the key partnerships that you guys formed for that, and how has that happened?
Yeah, I love that question, because a lot of projects don't think about that, not just so much in the DePIN space, but in the rest of the crypto sphere, and that I think why we haven't seen a lot of success outside of finance applications and identity mainly. And the reason is they use their treasury, right, of their tokens, right? They spend it, right? And then the token price drops and then they're out of business. And while they still maybe had a good idea, right, but they didn't think about their business as a whole. And we launched in 2018, right? It was just after the ICO craze in 2017, so right in the bear market. When we launched our token sale, ETH was at 500 or so, and when we ended it, it was at 50, and our token sale was price in need. And so it was the worst time. But it also forced us to build a real business, right? Because we couldn't rely on our token. And we co-founders, we are really lucky. We sold 3 businesses in the last 10 years. So we know how to build businesses in tech and that tech. I'm sorry. And so we built a real business model. And last year, our company made $10.5 million for operational income. And so we have a ton of partnerships in the Web2 and Web3 space, from advertising partnerships to data and location partnerships. There's a lot of things I don't want to announce yet, but they're going to be announced in the next few months. It's super exciting stuff, and are very profitable as well. Yeah, we know how to build a real business. We were US based, so we are forced when we did our token sale, right? We couldn't sell our token in the US to everyone, right? Only to accredited investors, basically. It's like rich people, which is not fair. And so we did something with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, where they gave us a qualification to sell our shares, the company shares, to non-accredited investors. So when but overseas you were able to buy both token and shares. Now we have more than 23,000 shareholders. Actually, now we have more than 24,000 shareholders, and hundreds of thousands of token holders. And what we also did is that it's not fair to our shareholders. We only provide liquidity on the XYO token, which is listed on Coinbase and many other exchanges. But we're also the second or third company in the US to tokenize its shares and list them on an alternative trading system. So we are the RWA, tokenized real world asset space as well. And we built with a as well as our XYLB shares. And so we are very conscious of how the business needs to work and that it needs to make money, that you need to have partnerships which sound good on one side, but also partnerships which make you money, and all of that basically runs the business.
Yeah, I mean that's how I see the longevity of a lot of the projects, right? Especially in, like, I mean, crypto in general. There's one thing is the hype, but long term it needs to be actually money coming in, external partners actually buying the data, right? Do you have any of the like big partners that you can tell us, and how has it been to work with them? I mean, it's okay if you can't. People can look at the news later.
Yeah, the big partners are unannounced, yet, but we work with a bunch, like in market, for example, is one of our big partners in the US. We do like location-based shopping and validation and verification of stuff in stores and so on with them. And then we put that on the XYO technology, right, to validate and verify it, and then the data gets sold to them. And then the users which provide that data get rewarded for providing the data. And then these users, we did a case study of our 500 best users a few years ago, and together they earned $19 million. And it's all these crazy stories, because our token appreciated a lot. And so there's a guy who paid off his mortgage, someone went on a 20-year delayed honeymoon. I met just someone at a conference in Australia. He told me he cashed out $400,000 of his XYO, and he retired as a trucker and started his own business. And it's monumental, what we're doing in the DePIN space, it's XYO and others. It can be really life-changing. Maybe the tokens you earn day to day, maybe that you don't earn that much. Maybe it's faster if you have money to just buy the tokens. But for people who are not able to do that, they can participate in the ecosystem, get some tokens for basically free or in exchange for something, right? And then hopefully, the token appreciates in money.
Yeah, I know. That's actually one of the things that make me want to wake up in the morning and build, right? Because I was going to ask what are like some really nice success stories that you have with the project, but already you just mentioned me so many, and it's so cool, right? Like it's so like give me the goosebumps, just like you're allowing, of course you're bringing people into crypto, but you're giving this opportunity for a lot of people that wouldn't have that opportunity otherwise. Like if you live in Brazil or even in Portugal, right, the salaries are not huge. Like if someone's like a truck driver and he put an Iotex, put like Hivemap or XYO and other projects in their car, at the end of the month, he may make more money with crypto than he makes in his real job. And that allows people sometimes to even get out of their rat race, or like this guy that you said, like he quit his job as the truck driver and opened his own business, or paid the loan. People have been struggling to pay their credit card debts and things like that. And what people do usually, if they don't have the instruction to to get better paying jobs, they just get 2-3 jobs, and that's something that we in the DePIN ecosystem and you guys are allowing, is like people to really find a ways to help that, right? And one thing that we try to do with DePIN Hub is onboard a lot of people, show them there's opportunities to work with you guys, with other projects. And I think it's something that's very, very exciting. And whenever I hear some stories like that, it gets very excited. Similar to me, right? I've been crypto since 2011, but I also like bought some Ethereum when it was like $4. I wasn't part of the ICO because there was too many scams projects coming out. I remember the ICO from Helium, but like from Ethereum, and I was like, get out. I don't want to know about all these ICO projects. There's so much scamming happening right now. But with Helium, there was my case in a way, right? Like me and Max, my co-founder, we thought we were going to just make some beer money. It was COVID, and then we started deploying a lot of Helium hotspots to the point that we made some good money, and that allowed us to start the company. Like Hotspotty was bootstrapped, thanks to Helium, right? For quite some time, and we are here now, 4 years later, like still hustling, but very excited about seeing this space grow, and then the amount of opportunities that is allowing to other people like makes me super, super excited, right? For XYO, like what are the roadmap that you guys have? Because you started being like location verification. Now you said you have also other products, other lines of action that you guys can do. Like what are your next roadmap, let's say, for the next few years?
Yeah. So we are gonna expand more and more which data we can provide and want to provide, and to enter like any data really. And we are different than other oracles there because if you look at Chainlink, for example, Chainlink connects data from, let's say, a website to a smart contract, right? And we are the data collector, right? And we do it in the trustless way, so on top of our XYO technology. And so we want to collect more and more data and onboard really anyone who's interested into our ecosystem and build more connection between Web2 and Web3. And also we just launched operating system XYOS. And with XYOS, you can basically leverage the XYO technology for your own products, be it like for your DePIN, what you mentioned in the beginning, like if projects want to have a location component, right, they can just plug into XYOS and in a very, very, very seamless way and connect with our ecosystem.
You guys are like also, like you said, serial entrepreneurs, right? Run multiple businesses. For the founders out there, people who wants to start a new DePIN project, sometimes they have the idea how to do so, or like idea of something they want to solve. What kind of advice would you give to those entrepreneurs and like founders that are just starting now?
Yeah, reach out, have a conversation with me for an hour. Just even if you want to shoot some ideas, I love that. It's like I have lots of entrepreneurs go from ideation to reality, but then also think about how you can really build a business. On the decentralization scale, think about how much decentralization you want, how much business sides, and so on. But think about how you can really build it all together, and then most importantly, think about the community. Unfortunately, the fundraising and how DePIN projects and other projects in the crypto space start has changed a little bit. Now it's mostly VCs get the first dip, and angels and VCs, right? And it's very privileged. And then in the last, then you have the KOLs get a dip, right? And then the community is able to do some token purchase, right? And then there's a token generation event. So the delta between for the ability to win for the community, I think gets diminished. And before, I think the system was a little bit better, right? Where the community had the ability to invest first, and then the VCs came and the other project got so many investors or raised so much money than the VCs came, and so I would wish that a lot of entrepreneurs think about the community a little bit more than and not so much about the VCs in the beginning.
Yeah, community is the heart of your project, right? You need to build the fans. People are gonna be cheering and then like with you along the way, because a lot of times VCs are gonna dump as soon as they can. Of course, there are good and bad VCs, right? You can't say all of them. There are some that are really, really good people try to help your businesses. But yeah, that's whenever fundraising, make sure to be aware of a lot of red flags that are out there, right?
Yeah, the problem is, I don't want to say anything bad about the VCs. It's that I think right now the VCs have the big advantage and the community doesn't. I think we need to, as a ecosystem, we have to find a better equilibrium to make VCs win and as a community at the same level.
Yeah, I think every couple cycles has something new that's coming up, right? Like 2017 was the ICO craze. It was like wild times. Now it's a bit more like VCs, like you said. There wasn't even the term KOLs that much that like in the back, right? It was like influencers. Now like KOL is such like a specific part of the fundraise. Like you have these rounds like VC, KOLs, like there's something that's already like a lot of projects following. But it's important to realize that these things was also invented by people. You don't need to always follow the same cookie cutter platter and algorithms if you want to fundraise or if you want to like build some sort of community and start the project. Where can people know about XYO and like let's say install the sentinels, the bridges, and all the servers, get to know everything that's happening? You said that you guys gonna have some like really interesting announcements. As a user, where should I go to be on top of everything that you guys are building?
Yeah, follow us on Twitter, like search for XYO and product X, and you find us there. And and or go to our website XYO.network and sign up for the newsletter. I'll go to coinapp.co, which is the coin app, where we have more than 7 million people, and I haven't mentioned that they use the app more than 3 hours a day in the foreground. Well, we have a 4.5 star rating in both stores, so people love it. So be one of them as well. And then of course, follow our blogs and so on.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna make sure to link everything. If you're listening to this podcast on Spotify or iTunes or whatever people do nowadays with Apple, on YouTube as well, I'm going to put all the links you need to do there. Also, DePIN Hub, you have all the information about XYO. Make sure everyone that is listening to subscribe to the DePIN Hub newsletter, where we are doing every 2 weeks a very interesting newsletter about everything that's happening in the DePIN ecosystem. Hopefully soon we're going to move to a weekly newsletter. So that's something that's coming up with a lot of projects. There's so much cool things happening in the space that every 2 weeks there's already too much. We're just gonna move to a weekly newsletter. But yeah, thanks Mark for being the podcast. It's a pleasure to talk to you always. Hope to see you in some conference or in San Diego, and yeah, hope to see you soon in the podcast so we can hear what you guys build in the future.
Yeah, I love it. I'm gonna happy to be back, and please tell me if you come to San Diego, so we can have a good time there.
Definitely.
Cool.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.